Hi everybody, we are live. Welcome to live market analysis using supply and demand. Those of you who are here, just let me know in the chat area that you can hear me, see the screen, and also see me. Just let me know, and you can let me know where you're from as well. So welcome everybody. We have a special guest on later, so it's going to be super exciting. And what I'm going to share with you today should help you move forward with your trading, as it's helped many people that have gone through this training before. Okay, so those of you here, just let me know. Hi, Jose. Hey, Sharon from Dallas. All good? That's good. Excellent. Hi, Naresh. You can hear us? That's good. You can hear me for the time being. Yes. Okay, good. From Las Vegas. Great. Hi, Ben. Okay, so before we start, what I thought was very interesting to do, for those of you who filled out the survey, I just want to tell you some of the results of the survey, which was actually very interesting. So the first question we asked was, how long have you been trading for? So you'd be interested to know that out of the people that answered the survey, 37.5% have been trading for less than 1 year, which is kind of interesting. We have 6.25% that have traded between 1 and 3 years, 18.75% 3 to 5 years, and 12.5% have been trading for 5 to 10 years. And over 10 years, we have 25% of the people here have been trading over 10 years, which is really interesting. Now, the next question we asked was, are you a consistently profitable trader? Now, this is kind of interesting. We have 18.75% of the people that answer this question are successful traders, of which 67% of them have been trading for over 10 years. Okay, it would be not great if you've been trading over 10 years and you're not consistently profitable. But guess what? I've worked with a lot of people recently over the past couple of years that have been trading 20, 30 years and they're not successful, and I've managed to get them to consistent profitability. Now, the third question we asked was, what financial instruments do you trade? So we have 62.5% of the people trading Forex, 37.5% trading stocks, commodities 18.75%, futures 12.5%, options 25%, and 25% of the people also trading crypto, which is kind of interesting. Now, here's another interesting question, and maybe you can relate. What is your biggest trading challenge? So we have people, these are some of the answers: hanging on to losers for big losses and then cutting profitable positions before they've realized even a sensible portion of their original targeted potential. Discipline, consistency, and persistence are some people's problems. Confidence, fail to control emotions. When to buy and when to sell, that's a very basic question. Again, if you don't know how to read the market, it's going to be very difficult to know how to find opportunity. Improve my profit-taking techniques and trading exit strategy. That's more like trade management. And with another person, funds, profitability, knowing what and when to buy and sell. Consistency. When to exit, knowing when to enter a trade. Again, you can't trade unless you know when to enter a trade and when to exit. Knowledge, not being consistent. Again, consistency is a key to everything. And again, I recently embarked on I guess, losing weight, building muscle mass over the past, I started again over about 3 months ago, and I've managed to consistently keep to my diet because I know keeping to the rules works. But you have to know what those rules are so you can keep to them. So I've managed to drop over the past 3 months around 7 kilos. I wasn't really overweight in the first place, but I wanted to get my cholesterol to lower levels without taking drugs. So I've managed to actually do that. Okay, so you need to know what rules to follow so that you can follow them. And you need to know how to read the market in this case so that you can understand what's going on. Now, out of all the people I asked, who's interested in joining our live trading room? 93.75% said yes. And interesting enough, let's look at the age. We asked people how old they were, so we have no one in the category of 20 to 30. Maybe we do, but you didn't answer. 40 to 50-year-olds, we have 12.5%, but the vast majority of the people here are between the ages 50 to 60, we have 37.5%. Between 60 and 70, 31.25%. 70 to 80, we have 12.5%. And guess what? We have 80 pluses here. Well done. 6.25% of you are over the age of 80, which is absolutely marvelous. So that was the initial survey, just so you know. Quick disclaimer before we begin, you can read that. Just bear in mind, all comments we make here for educational purposes only. So here's our agenda. Now, again, you may have heard this before many times. And Jane, who's going to be joining me, that's our surprise guest later. And she's going to be sharing some of her trading wisdom with you. And what's very important is to ask yourself the question, why am I always wrong? Again, at the beginning, you've got to understand if you're in a trade, it doesn't always appear you're on the wrong side. So we're going to ask that question and we're going to answer it. I'm going to go over professional chart reading, things that you won't find in any book. Then we're going to go a little bit over supply and demand, and then we're going to jump into the live market. We're going to look at primarily the Forex market. We can look at some stocks, maybe some futures. We'll look at Bitcoin futures as well and some commodities through the futures contracts. Then we have our special guest. And then I'll open up to audience questions and answers, and I'll also share with you how you can take the next step. Here's a picture of me giving a similar presentation at the New York Traders Expo, and then I was invited to speak last year in China, and here's me speaking at the Bogu Investment Forum along with other traders, ministers of finance, and here's a person that you probably know called Jack Schwager, who wrote the Market Wizard series. So he was one of the speakers at this event too. Here's a little bit about me for those of you who are here for the first time. I've been trading professionally for over 16 years now. And TradeSmart is a trading education business, and we focus primarily on teaching you how to read the market professionally and how to run a successful trading business, including how to develop your own trading plan and strategies which fit your personality and lifestyle. So let's address this question. Why am I always wrong? So when I first started trading, I worked was taught using the New York Stock Exchange specialist system. And I worked on the trading floor, and there were two traders on the trading floor who every single day, within the first half an hour, up anywhere between $2,000 and $10,000. What I should have done is spent more time looking over their shoulders to understand what they were doing, even though they partly trained me in how to read what the New York Stock Exchange specialist was doing so that we could follow along. So if the New York Stock Exchange specialist was buying, then we would be buying. If they were selling, then we would be selling. And we were taught to spot by looking at the time and sales and the open book, which is a level 2 of the New York Stock Exchange specialist, what was going on, looking at the prints going off on the time and sales and the open book, and then looking at what was happening. And what happened was the New York Stock Exchange went part computer and part human, and the system that we were taught no longer worked. So it was back to the drawing board for me. But the one interesting thing that happened though is when I called out stocks at the beginning to trade, and I called out, say, I called out Continental Airlines long. Yeah. Those two traders immediately went on the short side. I was a kind of counter indicator because at the beginning, I was always on the wrong side of the market. So, and I'm going to share this with you now. And it's very frustrating. It seems like the market's out to get you. And this is what it looks like. It looks something like this. So the market's going up, and you learn about trend, and you see, okay, the market's moving up. It's in an uptrend. So I'm going to buy. So you take your first trade over here and it's a buy. And you're like, wow, great. It starts to move in your favor and you're thinking, great, I can give up my day job, I can retire, I've got extra money now. And you're feeling really good about yourself. And all of a sudden the market turns to the downside, down, 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 down. Unfortunately, you don't have a stop in place and you're looking at your P&L getting less and less and less, a big negative number now. And then when you can't take it anymore, you hit the sell button. And not only that, you hit the sell button again, you're thinking, I've got the direction wrong. It's going down. Why am I buying? It's going down. So you take your second trade on the downside, you double up your position because you want to make your money back. And the market starts moving in your direction. You're thinking, great, I've made some of it back, some of it back. And all of a sudden the market turns to the upside and you take your second losing trade, this time at a much bigger than your first losing trade because you got double the position on. Just type a yes in the chat area if that has ever been you. I'm looking over here. I've got 4 screens in front of me. So the screen with the webinar with this presentation on is on the left. So I'm looking this way. Camera's up here and the screen is over here that I'm showing you. So yeah, can you guys relate to that? Just type a yes in the chat area if you can relate to that. Now, so what you do now is you decide, okay, I'm going to take my next trade. So you decide I'm going to take another buy. I was on the wrong side of the market. Instead of, I'm going to buy now, it's going up. So you take your third trade over here in a buy and it goes a bit in your favor. And all of a sudden it comes to the downside again. You take your third losing trade and it's like, oh dear, what am I going to do? I'm down too much. This is my first time trading. I thought it was easy. I went through a few courses and seemed to be on the wrong side of the market. I'm reading the trend. It's an uptrend. It's a downtrend. It's an uptrend. It's a downtrend. And then it's not seemed to be working for me. So you take a step back and then you think, okay, I learned something about support and resistance, during the peaks and during the troughs. So every time it goes up here, it seems to be going down. And every time it comes down here, it seems to be going up. So I've got it wrong. What I need to do is I need to sell up here this time because that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm buying up here. I should be selling up here. These are supply levels. It's a supply area. So you take your fourth trade over here and you're expecting it to go down because that's what it did every time you bought at this level. It went down. And this time what happens? Lo and behold, it continues going higher and you take your fourth losing trade. At this point, you throw your arms in the air and you think the market's out to get me. I don't know what's going on. All this training that I've done, nothing works. What's going on? And it's very, very frustrating. Just type a big yes, a capital Y in the chat area if that's ever been you. It's certainly been me. That's how I started. I was on the wrong side of the market almost all the time at the beginning until I figured out what was going on. Yeah. Okay, so what you need to learn about is supply and demand. That's one of the things, because those are the turning points in the market. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share with you how to read the markets from a professional perspective. So you only need 3 forms of analysis, a 3-prong approach. And each one of these by themselves can actually produce profitable trading results. And one of the traders I have with me who I trained 4 years ago can actually share that with you, because what she did was went through each of these independently and traded just based on pivot analysis, just based on supply and demand, or just based on price direction analysis, and was profitable in each of those situations. Obviously, knowing how to read the market is important. So the only 3 things you really need to know is pivot analysis. Pivot analysis is the ability to, it's our way of reading the trend using candlesticks alone. And I'm going to share with you towards the end how you can actually do that training so you can once and for all learn how to read the trend from a professional perspective. No indicators needed. The next thing you need to learn about is supply and demand. Now, this is not support and resistance in the traditional sense of the word. Supply and demand is real. Support and resistance is more abstract. So we want to understand the meaning behind why markets turn at certain areas. For example, why the market turns here down and moves from down here to the upside. If we have a good understanding about why the market's doing that, and I don't mean from a fundamental perspective, I mean from a technical perspective, then it will give us much more confidence when we're trading because we will understand the reasoning behind why the market's doing what it's doing. So you need to understand supply and demand because that's where the market moves from and to. And then you need to understand something called price direction analysis. Price direction analysis is what direction is price currently moving in? Is price moving up or down? Isn't it a good idea to know which direction, if you're in the building, for example, if you're in a hotel and you want to take the lift and the lift comes to your floor and you want to go down, but the arrow's pointing to the upside. So do you get into that lift? No. Because what's going to happen is the market's going to go, or the lift's going to go up. So wouldn't it be a good idea to identify which direction the market's moving in? This is what price direction analysis is. And we do this on multiple time frames. For example, you don't want to be buying an uptrend if it's coming up against, for example, an uptrend on the hourly chart is coming up against a daily supply area. It may turn, the trend may come to an end there. Remember, the trend is your friend until the bend in the end. The bend in the end is usually those areas of supply and demand in the market. So the beautiful thing about this, and this is basically what I developed over years. Now, nothing here is new. It's just how to put it all together. It's a three-pronged approach. Remember, a chair or a stool, for example, if you have one leg, it could wobble over. Put two legs, it could still wobble over. Three legs, it becomes stable. This is a three-pronged approach to reading the market. And we do this on multiple time frames. So we get a bird's eye view. It's, for example, like you're in the maze, and then you get a bird's eye view of the maze from a higher up area. So once you have this, you have a roadmap and a way of a framework for reading the market. Now, if you read down here, the charts will teach you all you need to know once you have a framework for reading them. So once you've got this framework in place, then you can go and look at any market. And over time, the charts are going to teach you what to do. You don't need anyone else once you have this framework. You may need a bit of help interpreting the framework, understanding how to put it all together. That's a skill like everything else. Once you've got that skill, you should be able to read any market and understand what's going on in real time. So let's move over to some basics now. Back to basics. So everyone knows this is a hammer, this is a shooting star. So let me ask you this question over here. This right candlestick over here, the right one over here, the shooting star, you can type it in the chat area. Is this candlestick bullish or bearish? What do the books say? When you see a candlestick like this, is it bullish or bearish? Bullish or bearish? Okay, feel free to type this into the chat area. If you're watching this live, if you're watching the replay, you can send me an email. Let me know what you think, bullish or bearish. Okay, so most people look at this candlestick and they say, I asked this question to a room full of traders at the New York Traders Expo, and they say, most of the room, the majority of people say bearish. Okay, thank you for answering that, Norman. Andrew, bearish, bearish, bearish. That's what everyone says, bearish. Almost everyone says bearish. Okay, so let's ask you a question here. Here's that candle. Is that a bearish candlestick? So this is on the hourly chart. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The sixth bar up, the bar looks like this. What do you expect to happen next? If this is a bearish candlestick, you expect price to go to the downside. So let's see what happens to price. Goes up a little bit more. Now the question is this candlestick bullish or bearish? Well, it actually looks bullish. And this is actually a trade we took in our trading room. We actually said buy here, target one here, and there's another target higher up. As you can see, target one, target two, buy, not sell. Most people see this bar, including myself at the beginning, and they think bearish. It's going down. It's going to go down. But look what actually happens in the market. It goes up. Now, let's go back to our framework for reading the market. Remember the three things that we need to learn. We need to understand trend. Now, from a trend perspective, when this bar, before we get all this, because that's where you need to make the decision. Remember, it's good in hindsight to say, oh, you buy here and you sell there after it happened. Anyone can do that. but you need to do it in real time as it's happening, because that's where decisions get made, on the right-hand edge of the chart. So most of you think bearish. Let me show you why this candlestick in this scenario, even if it was to go down under certain circumstances, the odds in this scenario is the market's going higher. And you'll take a buy every single time you see this exact scenario. The reason why, and you take it with certainty, even though the odds are, in your favor, it doesn't mean it's going to happen every time. Now, let's have a look and see what happens. From a trend perspective, the market puts in a higher low here and a higher high. So from a trend perspective, we're moving to the upside. Now, let's have a look at another perspective, from a perspective of price direction. The direction of price as this candle closes is still pointing to the upside. So price is going higher. From a supply-demand perspective, this is supply. The next supply level's over here. This bar cleared above supply, which means that it's most likely going to continue moving higher because there's no supply here to push it down. So look what happens. The market consolidates sideways and continues higher to this supply level, and then it drops, and then it goes to the next supply level and continues moving higher. So if you ask the question, you ask 3 questions. What am I doing from a trend perspective? I'm moving up. From a price direction perspective, price is going higher. From a supply demand perspective, I'm above supply. And I'm not, I broke above supply, and the next supply level's up here. So there's no reason to be on the sell side when you see this. Does that make sense, everyone? Now, let's go over a little bit about supply and demand. What is supply and demand? So let's go back to basics. It's very, very simple. Prices will always move higher when there's more demand than supply. Prices will move lower when there's more supply than demand. And prices move sideways when you have supply and demand in equilibrium. So if you ask the question, what moves markets? Remember, our actions follow our belief system. If we have the wrong beliefs about how the market works, then we're going to take the wrong action every time. What moves markets? Does the news move markets? Well, guess what? If good news comes out and of a certain stock, for example, and the market's closed, what happens to the stock price? Guess what? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So what moves markets? Guess what? People move markets. And people cause imbalances between supply and demand based on the orders. So when the market opens, for example, on Monday morning and great news comes out, what may happen is the stock gaps up and then sells off the rest of the day. It will gap up into an area where the other side of the trade can be found. For example, if there's too many buy orders at the open, the market will have to gap up to an area where there's willing sell orders to make the other side of the trade. And the specialist or the market makers will be the buyers and sellers of last resort. So they'll have to sell, and they're going to sell at prices where they can profit. So what happens usually is they'll sell at the high price, the market will gap up, and then it will sell off at the open, and they will buy back what they sold higher, if you see what I mean. So they're profitable. Doesn't always happen like that, but market makers need to be profitable, otherwise they go out of business. And New York Stock Exchange specialists then go out of business every day. So what moves markets? Supply and demand. What causes imbalances between supply and demand? That's a different question. You can look into fundamentals. I studied fundamentals for many years, and I could not understand, or I didn't have an edge because my level of understanding wasn't as good as a forensic accountant, for example. So I would sometimes understand the news to be good, but the stock would go down. Sometimes the news would be good and the stock went up, and I didn't see any correlation between the news and what the market did. So I decided to forget about the news, just watch what the market's doing and focus on that, because that's what's happening. The reason why, who cares? So the beauty of this is, as I said before, when I first started trading, I learned the specialist system. The specialist system was as technology changed, it no longer worked the way that we were trading. New technology came along, and what we were taught what gave us an edge in the market no longer worked. Guess what? If you learn a supply and demand approach to the market, this will never change. And the beauty of this is you never have to learn anything else. I've been doing this now for well over a decade, probably close to 15 years, and teaching this for over 10 years. And, I've taken traders from, many years of experience with no success to success and complete beginners to success. And you're going to hear from one of these people, superstar traders, later on. And you're going to hear a little bit about her journey and where she is now. So your job now is to identify supply and demand on a chart, because if you can identify where supply and demand is ahead of time, you will know where the markets are going to turn. So how do we do that? So the markets look something like this. And what you need to identify, not all supply and demand areas are the same. Areas where the market turns from down to up. Remember, the zones are not just prices. You don't just join peaks and troughs. You can do, but it's an area. Think of this like a mattress. It has give and take. It's a zone. And areas where markets drop, this is supply. So let me show you an example. And it's an example of price structure in gold. Now, this is gold from, I think it was 2018. Okay. Now, we were looking at gold at the bottom of a monthly base here, moving to the upside. And we were looking to get into the long side and play it to the top of the base. And if you look at price structure here, this is a reversal bar, this is a pullback, and then entry to the upside here. Now, let me show you what happened next. So just bear in mind this picture of the monthly chart, and you'll see what happens to price. This was down here. Price went up to the top of the base. So this is what we do. You have to understand what's likely to happen here. So we identify this area as a weak area of supply. It's supply, it's the top of the base. We said in our trading room that we may have a little bit of a move down, but if it catches and turns, which is most likely to do, we're going to break above the top of the base. Look at price of gold here, 1,308. And let's have a look at the live market and see what happened to gold. I'll pull the monthly chart so you can see this. This is over here. This is the bottom of that monthly base. 1,308 is around here. Around here, you see? We came down. This is the top of the base. We came down, we caught, and then we broke above the base. Isn't that amazing? And look at the move that happened afterwards. Now we're in this tight range. Notice supply here and demand here. We're just moving in this range. And notice this demand area in the market at the beginning of 2020. What happened? The market came down here, bounced all the way up to the highs. This is the bottom of the base. Look at where we were interested in being on the long side down here and again here. And the odds were we're going to break above the base this time. Now, let's go back to this. So here you can see identifying the ability to read the market ahead of time gives you an edge. So you know if the market's coming down here, it's not likely in this scenario to go all the way back down to the bottom. Whereas if you're buying here, it's likely going to the top of the base. Here we came down, we caught, and then we broke out and went higher. So your job as a trader is to identify high probability turning points in the market. And if you don't know where they are, then you need to identify them, because they will help you identify where targets are and also where to put stops. And remember, a stop is there not to stop you losing money. A stop is there to get you out of a trade that is no longer valid. So you have to place your stop in the right location. If you place it in the wrong location, you base your stop on how much money you're going to lose, and you put it in the wrong place, then you might end up losing money on a trade that turns around and ends up going to your target without you. So your stop in that scenario has not stopped you losing money. It caused you to lose money and stopped you making money, which is not what you want a stop to do. So what I'm going to do now is reveal to you in the live market. We're going to jump over to the live market, and we're going to show you the market today and maybe look back a little bit, what's happening, where those levels are, so you can see ahead of time. So let's jump over to live market analysis. You guys ready? Just type a yes in the chat area if you're ready to move over to the live markets. I'll answer questions at the end. I know I have Mike also answering questions here. Mike helps me run the trading room. He's been with me for over 10 years. I taught him how to trade way before I had a website, which was over 10, maybe 11 years ago now. Okay, so perfect timing. Okay, let's go over to the live markets now. And here's gold. Now, here's a trade that we actually called out in our trading room to on Monday, I believe, on the long side with 3 targets. Okay, if you see over here, this is demand. Price is moving up from demand. It's a sidewaysy moving market, so it's moving up. So where's it likely going? Going up here. So this is a weekly chart. Where's it going? The next level up here. So how do we know it's going to break this area? Well, guess what? This bar broke this area. So here's this day, yeah, which was yesterday, or this day, there's a buyable pullback into now. This is demand to where? Likely up here. We may have a little issue here, but it's likely going back up to that area. So we called out the trade, I think it was on Monday, around the market open, which was around 8 o'clock. We said go on the long side with targets at 1840. So entry here, 1840. Why 1840? Because that's this area, just shy of this area, 1840. Then 1850, which is the weekly supply area. And then 1860, which is the monthly area up here. This is a base. Market's in the middle here. And it's moving up. So we're going likely up here, and you may get stopping areas on the way. So again, there's no guarantees, but so far it's moving in the right direction. So when you can identify those areas, why these areas? Why is this supply before price gets here? Again, if you have a look at the market here, you identify a supply area here. So when price gets back up there, look what happens. Up here, what happened? It drops right down and we identify here as demand. What happens when it hits the demand area? It goes back up again. This is supply as well. And this is demand. Look what happens. So if you understand where those areas are, then you can trade accordingly. Now, this is a very similar bar to what we just had. This is a bullish bar. Yeah, most people think it's going down, but what did price do? We just went over this. This just happened today. Okay. Today. This is the hourly chart. You see a bar like this. What are most people thinking? This is exactly the same concept what we just talked about now. The market's basing here at supply. The market spikes above the supply area. That means there's no more supply here. It wouldn't have traded above if there were orders on the sell side sitting, if there were still orders sitting in this zone, which we look over if we go to the left here. This is the zone. This is a pivot here, and there's a big bar down. So we mark this as a supply area. If there were orders still sitting at this price level, we couldn't have traded above. Impossible. So watch what happens in this bar. This is exactly what we just discussed now. You get a bar like this. What are most people doing here? They're selling. Watch what happens to price. It continues going higher. So what is the market teaching you here? Remember, the market teaches you. The market's your best friend. Yeah, the market's going to teach you everything you need to know. Just like if you want to drive and you want to understand road conditions, go and drive on the road. Understand what's going on by observing and then see what happens most of the time. If there's a red light that goes on, most cars stop. Maybe some cars try to speed up and jump the lights or get through it, but most of the time they're going to stop. So when you see this happening, most of the time, this is what happens. The market continues going high, at least temporarily. There may be something up here that may cause price to go to the downside, but this is a perfect example that happened today of what I just went over earlier on. Okay, let's go through a few other markets. Let's look at the dollar index here. Here again, we have a supply area sitting right here on the this chart, the weekly chart, look at this pivot over here and look at the drop we had from this area. This is supply. Again, we know ahead of time. Now, what most people are thinking when you see this big green bar that goes into here, they're thinking, great, it's going higher. But look what happened the following week. It goes all the way back down to where? To demand. And now what the market's doing. You see that? So you understand what's going on. It went from supply to demand. And you can see it on the smaller time frames as well. Now we're caught in this sideways choppy market between this demand becomes supply area and this supply become demand area. You see this? We're range bound here. So you have to understand how to trade a sideways choppy market. And it's choppy on every time frame here at the moment. Here, you can see it here, here, and here. We're chopping in this area, which is this and this. Now, let's go through a few other markets. Let's look at Bitcoin, another very interesting market at the moment. We'll look at it through Bitcoin futures. Supply and demand. Let's go through this on multiple time frames. Let's go through here. Here's demand. This is where the market stopped going to the downside. We also have a demand area here that was broken. That may become supply here. We may stop and have another leg down. Okay, this is the monthly chart. Now let's go to the weekly chart. We have supply here. Demand we have at this level. The price turned here and went up from this area to this area. But here we hit supply. Let's go down to a daily chart. We can see the same level here. This is supply, not the strongest area of supply. And so far, we don't have a strong move down. But this became demand. This was demand. So we moved back down into demand that formed here. And we had a buying opportunity from here up to here, from here to here. Okay, that's not a bad move. It's well over 10% over a few days. So it's understanding where these levels are and also how to read the trend. This is a trend-based trade. The trend ended here. This put in a higher low, for example, and a higher high, higher low, higher high. Okay, the trend changed in demand. The trend changed here. It failed to go down below this area. We put in a bottom. Okay, let's go to oil. Oil, let's go from the weekly chart. Look at this. This is demand. The market dropped down to demand and look where we bounced from to new highs. This put in the bottom of the market. The bottom of the market got put in here, but this confirmed it here, meaning we want to be on the long side. This is demand. This is demand. Okay, and notice again. Let's go back here. Here is here's a bullish bar. See that? Most people, it did temporarily come down. That's for a different reason, because this is what we call an extended move that breaks above supply. Usually get a pullback. You get a little bit of a move down because there's people buying the breakout here, and this is what gets them out of the market potentially for a loss. Yeah, this is what shakes them out, and then the market goes higher. Again, you see this bar, it's bullish, not bearish. Another example of that. Okay, let's go to the stock market, the EMinis. And again, this is another beautiful kind of example. This is demand. This is demand becomes supply. So we have a move down, but the market from a trend perspective pivoted here. We put in a higher low. Direction changes to up. So today is a long every single time. Now, it doesn't mean you can't play on the short side intraday, but it's going to go up today and likely going to break above here. If it doesn't, we're going down again, okay? So this structure is a buy today. So look at what happened intraday. The market pulled back and it's been going up the rest of the day. Now we've got to see if we can break above this area, because guess what? Look on the weekly chart, this is supply. So look, notice we broke demand. Over here, we came down to this demand level. We bounced back to this supply. We came down, and now we're trying to go back and break it. If we go and close back in this area, the market could see new highs again, if we're able to. So this is what's being decided at the moment. Does that make sense, everyone? Now, let's see if I can show you a few other things. Let's have a look at... Let's look at the Great British Pound. Okay, again, notice the levels. This is, I mean, it works almost every time. This is supply. So look where the market went from demand to supply. Where did the market turn? Here, to the downside. Now notice we went a little bit too far down. So it could be that this move up at the end of the week puts in a lower high and we go down. And if we look at the daily chart here, you can see this. There's a pullback. This is a reversal bar back down to supply. That became demand, but we may not be able to get over this area. So what could happen by tomorrow, we could turn down and end up going to the downside, which would mean this is going to go probably down here. And maybe this is going down here. Remember, this is supply. We moved up to supply. We moved up to, this is supply as well. We moved up to supply and we'll continue until we get down to demand or the trend changes. And you can see how these levels work on every time frame, okay? Even here. Okay, so what I want to do with you now is, well, we've gone through quite a few charts. I want to share with you, let's go over here. I want to share with you a trader success story over here. And we have with us live today, Jane, who started with me 4 years ago, and she went from complete beginner, and she's going to share with you a little bit of her journey, to consistent profits in 3 months. And we're now 4 years later. She came at the beginning of 2018. So Jane, are you there? I want to bring you on live, and Jane's going to show you a little bit about what she's doing. I see you.
Hello.
We can hear me? You. Yay.
Hello. Put my glasses on so I can see you. Hello. Hi, everybody. So nice to be here. Thank you, Simon, for inviting me to come. It's really fantastic. So have you introduced me?
So we can see it.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
See us bigger now. I can look
everybody, let my glasses on and see what I really look like. Okay. So, Simon, have you spoken about me already, or do you want me to?
Yeah, so I just said that you started with me in it's actually January 2018. We had our first conversation, and you started doing the training, how to read the trend, and that was a complete life changer for you. It completely turned your whole life around.
Oh, absolutely.
So maybe you could share what you did and where you are now, and the journey you went through, and how you did it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hi everyone. Some of you may know me already, some may not. But I just think this is a really fantastic opportunity for me to let everyone know, how I got to where I am now. And as Simon said, I started with him 4 years ago. So in 4 years, my journey has been absolutely incredible, amazing. I mean, it's complete. My whole life has turned around. It's like the difference between that day and night of how I used to live and how I live now. And it's just mind-blowing, really. I mean, I came to Simon 4 years ago, and when I came to Simon, I'd absolutely no idea about trading. I didn't even know what a candlestick was. I mean, when I first looked at his first trading room, I thought, what is this? It's just like a maze. I just didn't have a clue of what anything was going on. And the reason I found Simon was because I'd been kind of find a way to earn some extra money because, I just, it's a little bit of my personal life. I'd been through a divorce and, things were a bit hard and I didn't have any money. And I was thinking, oh, my God, what am I going to do? And I found these videos that Simon was doing on YouTube and I watched them for several weeks. And I thought, God, this is just absolutely amazing. And I got so fascinated by how simple it all looked that this person could just say, right, if this happens, this is going to happen. And if this happens, this is going to happen. I thought, this is just too good to be real, to be true. So I want to learn how to do this. And I just decided right then, this is what I'm going to do. So then I got in touch with Simon and, we chatted a few times and I joined his trading room and watched him trade. And then the best thing was then that he offered me his very baby course for beginners. We call it baby course. It's the first course that he had, and it was all about pivots and candlesticks. And he said, do this, and you'll learn more or less, how the market works. And
that's how to read the trend, which we're going to share with you how you can do that training at the end. Exact training that Jane did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And if you do his learn to read the trend course that Simon offers, it's really the first step in learning how to read the market, and it makes you understand trends and pivots. And that's all I did at the beginning. I just did that one course, and because I'm the kind of person that when I do something, I want to do it like to 120%. That I just don't leave anything unturned, and I wanted to understand the course inside out and then put it into practice. So I went over his course I think it was about 50 times or even more, and then I started putting it into practice on the market, and I realized that this was actually really good. But the problem was I didn't want to trade Forex because I find Forex pretty boring. So I need I need something that's fast and furious and crazy. And I discovered NASDAQ trading at the US Open, and I thought, God, I would love to trade this, but it looks easy, but because it moves so much in each direction, at the Open, unless you really know what you're doing, I didn't want to touch it. So I just put his training to my own strategy. So I made my own strategy out of his trading, and because with his training, you can trade anything. I mean, at the beginning, I actually traded oil, and I still trade oil and gold. I was in gold today. It was a beautiful move. And sometimes trade ES as well. But most of the time, I trade NQ at the US Open. And the reason is because it's very fast. You can be in and out and done within 20 minutes or 30 minutes a day. Okay. But what I think is really important that I add onto this is that I have actually no banking background or financial education. I mean, I studied languages. I did study Spanish and German and Italian and all different modern languages and history and art and all stuff like that. Absolutely nothing at all to do with money, or I was never interested in money at all, or finance. So, just shows you that, you don't need to have a financial background to succeed in trading. You just have to have the right attitude, and you have to be willing to put in the work. I mean, I went through market replays day in, day out, at the weekends, in the evenings, over and over again. And I still do every weekend now. I still go over all my trades, and anything I do wrong, I write down, and I make sure I don't make that mistake again. And that's the only way to become perfect, more or less. And and I just think I want to add on to this that, I think it's really important to know that I started with absolutely zero knowledge in this. And now, 4 years later, I'm not only become a very consistent trader and at trading one of the most fast moving markets that exists, but I'm also have recently put a training course together, and I've been actually teaching people how to trade. So I mean, I think it's absolutely amazing that 4 years ago I didn't know anything, and now I'm actually teaching people how to trade the US Open. And just at the beginning of this month we had a 6-day workshop, which also included live trades. And then Simon can tell you about my live trading days. They were absolutely incredible. And none of this would have been possible without having gone through this very basic training. Because you need the foundations. If you don't have the foundations, it's like anything. If you want to learn to ski, if you don't know how to do a snowplow, you can't parallel ski. Or if you want to learn to run, you need to learn to walk first. So you need to have the basics, and you need to be willing to put in the work, which I think I said already. Be very disciplined, and have the attitude that you don't lose. You either win or you learn. And I think that's really important. So you learn from your losing trades. Don't call yourself a loser. Always have the right positive attitude that you're a winner, whatever happens. And, it's really, really incredible. So, I mean, that's all the advice I can give anyone here is do this, take the chance and, take this, learn to read the trend trading, because it's the beginning. I mean, I actually then went on and did all Simon's training, but I mean, the basics I got were from his very first course. I think it was really good.
And the beauty is, even though Jane's now a very successful trader, she still joins the live trading room. She still comes every time I run this like workshop, this session over here that I do usually once a month. She comes every single time. If she misses a session, she'll watch the recording. And she's already a successful trader, because guess what? You need to keep learning, keep growing. Sometimes you hear something again, but you've grown, so you hear it differently and you're able to understand it differently, and it's able to get you to the next level. So you want to keep moving, keep growing. But if you grow without foundations, it's like a tree. If you don't have solid roots, or a building without solid foundations, and you try and build a structure, it's going to fall down every single time. It's not going to last very long. And that's how many people are approaching trading. They're building the building without building the foundations. They're learning a strategy without learning how the market works, how to read the market. They're just learning a strategy. That's like building a building without building foundations first, if you see what I mean. So Jane, it's great to have you here. It's great to come and share, and you can see what is possible. And how you can go from complete beginner to actually teaching people. And this is within 4 years. Some people think, you know, that's impossible, but Jane's a living example of someone who's done that.
And today the market was extremely difficult. I don't know if anyone tried to trade the market today. It was very difficult, but you had to, if you knew how to trade supply and demand, and you knew how to trade gaps up off the open, and you knew how to follow the daily trend, it was quite simple. It was, I mean, I don't know if anyone wants to see my charts. I can show you exactly what I did today, but maybe we haven't got time.
Pull them up.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Maybe we'll do. Do you want to do? Should we do that at the end? Let's go through this, and we'll do that at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
So I want to share with you how to take the next step. So let me share my screen again.
Sure. Okay.
Oh,
shall I go off for the moment?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jane.
Yeah. Fine. Okay.
We'll become. You can stay there if you want.
I'm going to turn my camera off. My mouse is kind of gone to sleep.
Let me see if I can.
I know. Yeah, I find it.
Okay, it doesn't matter. You can stay there. It's fine. Okay, everyone. So there's Jane, and Jane will be back towards the end, and we'll show you some of the trades that she did today. So this is what I want to share with you. And again, I remember having this conversation with one of my coaches. Is I work with Tony Robbins, and one of his coaches, or one of his mentors, was Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn said that for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. And you've got to let your knowledge lead to action. But he also said one of the best investments, one of the best investments you can ever make in life is in yourself. Because if you can get yourself to a higher level, then you're going to live life every single day at a higher level. If you can live with energy and vibrance in life, and live life in a peak way, in a peak performance, because trading is also a peak performance activity. But if you live life in that way, then you can trade much better than if you're lacking energy. So the best investment you can make in life is in yourself. And you can see Jane has the attitude, a winning attitude, that enabled her to go through the learning curve very quickly. And I'm going to share with you how you can actually, be in contact with Jane regularly as well, shortly. So now you've seen a simple and powerful approach to reading the market. I'm going to show you how you can take the next step and learn the beginning, the foundations, the first foundations that you're going to put down. And again, I've trained people that have been trading for 30, 40 years, and they know way more than me, and they've tried many more types of trading than I have, but they're not successful, not consistently profitable. These are the steps that they took in order to get themselves to consistent profitability. So what you need to do is take it a step further and learn this foundational training. Again, this is the first step in building those solid foundations, is learning how to read the trend using pivot analysis. And here's the benefits of doing that. You're going to be able to trade in the direction of the trend. As we said earlier, the trend is your friend until the bend in the end. You'll know when the trend begins, and you'll know when a trend ends. Make sure you're never fighting the trend, and make sure you're on the right side of the market. And then you'll be able to develop a profitable trading strategy, or if you've been trading some time, take your strategy you have and enhance it so that it actually now starts giving you consistent profits. So here's the offer. For those of you who are ready to take that first step, and some of you, this may be, for many of you that have been trading for many years, this is the first step to success for you. And for those of you who are beginning, this is the first foundational step as well. Sometimes you have to take a step back, knock down whatever building, and start building foundations again. You don't need to forget everything that you've learned, but what you need to do is build those foundations first. If you build a structure like a house, as we said before, without foundations, it's not going to last very long. You need to knock the house down, build the foundations, and then build the house again. So this is what you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to identify the current trend of the market. You're going to be able to analyze the trend in multiple time frames. How do you reconcile trends? It could be an uptrend on the hourly chart and a downtrend on the daily chart. How do you reconcile that? You'll know exactly when a trend begins and exactly when a trend ends. And again, this is not subjective, it's objective. Okay, it's not open to interpretation. There's only one way to do it. And you'll learn how this knowledge will dramatically affect your bottom line. And guess what? Once you go through the training, you'll be able to watch us analyze and trade in the live markets in real time every day. And here's what people are saying. It's Leanne. Before attending one of Simon's webinars, and I think it was this one, I'd spent decades trading various markets, including stocks, penny stocks, options, futures, and my losses far outweigh my gains. When he showed his clean charts with supply and demand levels marked out and talked of reading the market through only price action with no other indicators, add-ons, or signal services, it struck a chord with me. Over the last years, I've attended trading forums, many webinars, and purchased a few online training packages and joined a number of different trading rooms for a time, but didn't find anything that was actionable for me. I recognize that Simon is a genuine and honest person, and he is willing to teach. And what he is willing to teach is the holy grail in trading that I had been looking for. Ernest. Simon, this is phenomenal. I've been trading, studying for 3 years. Sadly, it's all been the wrong process. I've wasted tons of money, time, and effort. I've actively deleted all those programs, indicators, etc., and now completely focus on what I've learned from your program. It's the only real way to trade, and it makes complete sense. Tom, I wanted to say that what you teach in How to Read the Trend training course is brilliant. Before that, I'd picked up bits and pieces from different traders, but it was never joined up. Your course brought it all together in a very structured and algorithmic way. No guessing needed. The facts jump off the chart. You're a mastermind. And finally, Matt, to show you know a little bit about the trading room as well. The trading room is very helpful in understanding how to go through the process, because that's exactly what we do. I've been trading for 11 years and I've not seen anything like what you do. Love how simple it is. I mainly trade options with trades that last 30 to 60 days. I've been looking for something that I could use to day trade for 2 years now. I want to round out what I'm doing with another source of profits. I've not been able to find anything that I could execute consistently. I'm just paper trading with your system. I've been doing it for a couple of weeks now, and I've had far better results than anything I have ever tried. So this is what you get. It's about an hour and a half. And again, you want to be able to get the information in the shortest amount of time, okay? Time is the most valuable asset we have. Once it goes, it doesn't come back. So you have to make sure you spend your time well. So I'm very appreciative for all of you for spending your time here. And I want to help you get that transformation that you need to get your trading to the next level, which will help you get your life to the next level. It's on demand. You can watch it as many times as you want. And you get personal access to me. And again, this is the most important thing here, is you're going to get 1 month access to the live trading room. It's usually $497 a month, but you also get access to our online trading community, okay? You're not alone. You've got a whole community of traders. Jane's part of that community, and we have other very experienced traders, and we have complete beginners as well, and everything, and everyone in between. So we have a wonderful group of caring people that are there to support one another, to cheer each other on, to help each other, to be there to support each other, and to share ideas with each other and grow together. Okay, so this is via our Discord server, and this is what it looks like. Okay, and again, I can show you got a live one shortly if you wish. So we're sharing ideas, we're sharing trades. Sometimes we share a trading plan, like a battle plan before the market opens or before we take a trade, so you can see exactly what's happening. And again, you can learn from other people, you can share your ideas with other people, you can ask questions. So here's what the offer is, and what I'm going to do is going to pop it up in the chat area. For those of you who are here watching this live, let me see if I can do this. Where are we? Offers. So you'll see the offer pop up on the right, so you can click it. And the regular price is $894. Deadline's 2 days from now. And you're going to receive $497 off. So it's only $397. That's the investment. And it's an investment in yourself, okay? So what you can do is you can go to this link as well. You can't click on it. You'll have to type this into your browser. It's TradeSmartForex with the number 4x.com/promo. And it will bring you to this page. So let me show you what you get. Let me show you the page, and let me pull this up. So basically, this is my website. And to get into the members area, you just click here, which will bring you to, let me just go through this. So this is the page that you come to first. You can click buy now here, buy now over here, and you can see what you get. You're going to learn how to identify the trend and everything that we just went over. You can read what other people are saying about it, and then you can click over here. Once you click there, it brings you to a checkout. And again, you can type all your details in the checkout over here. And you get charged today just $397. And you can see it's $497 monthly after the first month if you want to continue in the live trading room, and you can cancel at any time. So you can set yourself a reminder. And a lot of people stay in the live trading because they see the value of it. But again, come for a month, check it out, take the training, learn how we do everything in the live trading room, and see if this is a good fit for you. And I'm sure it will be. And then you can take that step. Take the first step now. Again, you don't have to decide for another month if you want to. I'm not a big fan of trading rooms myself personally, but it's necessary at the beginning so you can see what's being taught, put into practice, and then learn yourself how to do it. And ultimately, you want to become an independent trader and not rely on anyone, including myself or the trading room. You want to rely on yourself. So this will bring you to the membership area. Once you join, you will get an email with your login credentials. And again, when you click on members over here, or you have a link in the email, it will bring you to the membership portal. Now, how to read the trend is in this area, this portal, and you only have access to the courses that you have access to. The trading room is over here, and we have other programs as well. This is Jane's program that she put together with trading the NQ at the US Open, which you can do as well if you wish. Now, this is how to read the trend over here. You'll get it, which is session 1 of how to read the market professionally. You will only have access to this unless you obviously buy the rest of the course. So this is a standalone training, which will give you enough information to actually follow what's going on in the live trading room and actually see it put into practice. And the trading room's over here. We have a weekly preparation session, which if you can't make it live, you can watch the recording. And again, that's a separate subscription, but it's part of this package as well as part of the live trading room. If you can't make the live sessions, we have recordings over here, and we have the live trading room here where you can actually come and see what the schedule is and come and enter live. And our room runs from Sunday to Thursday. We have a weekly prep session on Sunday, and then we run live sessions from Monday to Thursday. So one final run through of what you're going to get over here. You're going to get access to how to read the trend in the membership area, 1 month in the live trading room. So that's $397, $497 for that, $894. Total today, you only pay $397. And you also get to join our premium channels in our Discord server where you can connect with other traders too. And if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat area now. Otherwise, we can bring Jane back on and she can go through some of the trades she took today. Let me see where we are.
Right, I'm back.
So you may want to share your screen. So those of you who have joined, welcome. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow in the live trading room. And also, Jane very often trades live on Friday on Discord. She used to, and you can follow her trading as well live in there. And ultimately, maybe beginning of next year, maybe she'll be running her own trading room as well. So that's something that may be in the pipeline. Okay, so I'm going to pass over to you, Jane, into my...
Yeah, I have to decide if I want the skiing or trading first. Or both. Trading on the ski piste. Yeah. So anyway, can you all see my charts?
Yeah, I can see them, Jane.
Yeah, great. Okay, great. Right. So what happened at the open today? This is we'll go back onto the 3-minute chart because I trade off a smaller time frame off the open. Now, what I had seen at the open, I don't want to spend too long on this because I don't know how long Simon's webinar is still. But what I'd been looking at the open, first of all, was before the open, I'd been looking at these pullbacks, and because I always measure the pullbacks just to see, what's going on. And I'd noticed just before the open, you can see it without me. I mean, I can put the ruler on if you want, so you can. So this is a ninja platform I use. And I'd seen here the pullback was like 25 points. And then I'd seen here the pullback was roughly the same. Well, that one's a little bit more, 31 points. But I mean, not, 25, 31. There's no huge difference. But then suddenly I saw just before the open, like on the pre-market, we'd had this pullback, which was 38, which was like almost double what this one was. So I thought, well, what market's going to do now is... when they open up, they're going to pull back. And I mean, first of all, it was anyway light opening. You see, it's light opening. The market opened like here. This was the opening candle. It was opening just below a supply level. So you wouldn't want to go long anyway, straight off the open. You'd want to wait for pullback. And this was my intraday. You see this box here? This was my intraday support level. Okay. So now if the market broke through that, I wanted to see how far they went down. Now, what I was looking for, I didn't do anything right off the open because it was just so look how choppy it was. It was just really choppy. So I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to see if they broke through my support level here, how far they're going down, because the close from the previous day was way down here. Like this was like the 760. The market actually closed at 740, I think. But the top of the range, I always use the top of the range of the closing range for my gap fill. Now, if you have a look, if we go on the 5 minutes, like this is a very big gap up. It's what I call a level 3. I have different levels of gap. This is a level 3 gap up. And if you look, I was looking for at least a 50% pullback from the close. Now, if you look from the close up to where the market, where we got to, where it opened, no, up to here, where it got to actually, I think. You see, now if you can see here, 50% is exactly where they got to. So what I was looking for on the open was, first of all, the pullback was bigger before the open. So I was looking for them to come down, but not more than about 50% because of this big move up. And also because the daily was in an uptrend. So it's very unwise to trade against the daily trend. So, I mean, there would have been a short entry, but I didn't take a short today. I waited until I got my 50% pullback, and then I went long. I went long exactly on, this is 5 minutes. I went long after 3 minutes. I got better entry down here. And you look how on the 3 minutes, you can see how it's bouncing off this level. And you see how my levels, all my added when it came back to this level, because when it broke the highs, so it's going to go up a level and it's going to pull back to the next. And look what it came back to. If you move that across, my intraday support level came right back into there. So that was the next entry. And then I got out up here because I joined this webinar then. So otherwise I'd probably still be in, and look, we're flying higher. And, and you can see my level up. This is my next level up, the 1530, and then a 1565. I mean, if they get there today, I don't know. But that is all my levels are marked on the chart. So, I mean, but as you can see, it was very difficult today. I mean, this is the kind of day where a lot of people get completely whipped around because they say, oh, we're going down, then we're going up, then we're going down. But there was a short entry. You could have waited for them to break through here, come back, and they went up to this supply level, but they didn't get through it. So, you know, you could have, there was an entry here, you could have taken it right down to here, but, you know, it was a bit of up and down you'd have to sit through. So, you know, but if you had to stop up here, you'd have been fine. But I waited and went long. But it was a lot of waiting today, which was not really very easy when you're working. But yeah, it worked out. And I got a really nice trade. Yeah, I got over 100 points on here, and, you know, 860. I got in just above here, and I got out up here. Yeah, 100 points. Pretty nice. So that's
great job.
That's what I did today. But it, you know, it was very difficult today. I mean, look at this. And the reason is because they're battling these. You know, this is on the daily or the weekly. They're into a supply level up here, so they're having a battle. You know, so it's, you know. But the buyers were really in control. I mean, like from like down here, this is like beginning London session all the way up. They've just been buying. But you had to get pullback to go higher. You couldn't just go long up here. Well, you could, but you'd have to have your stop way down here. And I don't fancy having over 100 point stop in that stack. So, yeah. So anyway, that was what I did today. So if anyone was interested.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jane.
All using supply and demand, nothing else but supply and demand, no indicators. But also there was, you know, I noticed it now, but I mean, I didn't actually I have this on my chart, the CCI, but I didn't actually realize at the time because, you know, I was trading at work and I was on my phone. So, you know, but here, if you see here, when the market came lower and the CCI was going higher, you know, so it was also a signal that, you know, it was going to go up. But I mean, I don't really use any indicators. I just use price action alone and supply and demand. And that was it.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Jane, for sharing. So you can see what's possible. And she trades basically most of the time on her phone with a connection to a laptop at home.
The remote.
Which is pretty amazing.
Remote, yeah, because Ninja don't have a mobile app. So I connect on Chrome remote through my phone, trade off my phone. You got exactly the same screen. You can do everything. It's really good. So
Naresh has a question. Maybe we'll just open up for a few questions. Naresh has a question. Which time frames you draw supply and demand? And guess what? All time frames. That's a good answer. Is the course including supply and demand? Learn how to read the trend does not include supply and demand. But if you come into the live trading room, you'll learn by osmosis. You'll learn it from the live trading room. It depends how you learn. You'll learn by watching us do it. If you want to learn it formally, then you have to go through the rest of the training. But it's get one foot in the door and see this for you. Come into 1 whole month in the live trading room and watch us put it into practice. I had a number of years ago a postdoctoral research fellow at Princeton University go through my, I think around 7 months worth of analysis and trading kind of analysis data. And he came out with an accuracy of 85%. And this was over 3 years ago. Okay, so it's pure, I think it's a PhD in statistics or something, but postdoctoral research fellow who actually went through my training, but he wanted to verify, so he went through all my analysis over a 7-month period, and went through if he were to trade based on the analysis, what would the success rate be? And 85%. That was then. So again, you can learn how to do this yourself. It's not complicated. It's actually very simple, and we like to keep it simple. It's hard to implement complicated. It's easy to implement simple. Price is somewhere between supply and demand. You understand what the trend is. The trend is very important. It's the most important thing to learn as a foundation is the trend. From there, you can adapt. You can learn supply and demand. You'll learn it from the trading room as well. You'll learn by watching us do it. Okay, so let me see if anyone else has any other questions, you can send me an email over here. It's my email. And what I'm going to do now, I know we've gone over just slightly over an hour. So I want to say a huge thank you to you for being here. A huge thank you to Jane for being here too. Great to have you here and to share with everyone. Say a huge thank you to you, to those of you who have taken the step forward who are investing in your future, in yourself, in those foundations that you need. And again, the trend is what you need to learn, and you won't find this anywhere else. You won't find it in any books, and you won't find it anywhere else online as far as last time I checked. Maybe someone copied it and put it out, but the exact information here, you won't find it anywhere taught in this way. And it's professional way of teaching it. I've taught this also to institutional traders as well, who work in banks. I won't mention the banks' names, but some of the big banks. Some of the top traders actually trained this exact same training. So I have a YouTube channel that you can go and watch some videos there if you wish. I haven't been too active, but I'm planning to get more active this year. And again, this is a link again if you want to join. And for those of you who are, I will see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. in the live trading room. And again, if you can't make it live, you can watch the replays. If you go through them, you will learn how to read the market professionally, and you'll see it works. And you'll start amazing yourself how you can finally understand how the market moves. And not only that, if you take it a level deeper, you understand why the market's moving based on price action alone. And that knowledge will give you a huge, solid foundation that you can build however you want to trade on top of that. You don't have to trade the way I trade or the way Jane trades. We have people that are trading in many different styles. It's not one style fits all, but we all trade on using the same solid foundations of price action, of understanding how to read the trend, understanding how to read supply and demand, and understanding price direction on multiple time frames. We use this to understand what the market's doing and base trading decisions on that. So we know whether we're going to be on the buy side, where we're getting in, where we're getting out. We don't have any of those questions unanswered before we take a trade. We know exactly what we're doing before we take the trade, as you saw with Jane. So huge thank you to all of you. And remember, we're living in a wonderful time at the moment where in order to learn things, you want to learn from experts in the area, or rather than going through trial and error yourself and spending many years and maybe you never get it, why don't you learn from someone who's already gone down the path and has taught people to do that, and has, not only themselves, but has taught others to do that consistently. And you can see, and now we have another generation. Jane is teaching people how to trade the way she trades. For those of you who like to trade fast and furious at the NASDAQ at the market open, usually done between, anywhere between 0 to 30 minutes every day, you can be done and dusted. And she makes most days probably around 100 points. And she does it consistently, day in and day out, from her phone, wherever she happens to be. Even during, I think a couple of weeks ago, she was on a ski training program to become a master ski trainer, skiing instructor, and she was doing it from her phone there, which was connected to her laptop. And she took trades as well when she could, believe it or not. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Jane. And we look forward to helping you on your first steps, which are not your first steps, but your first steps of building that foundation that you can build a wonderful future for yourself as a trader. Okay, so these are the foundations. Take the first step. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Thank you, Simon.
Thanks, Jane. Bye, everyone.